Hello everyone, and welcome to a Create with Kiely art tutorial video. In this video, we will be experimenting with different ingredients, mixing it in with watercolor paints to see what neat effects we can get with that. If you want to say thanks, click that like button and subscribe to my channel. Now let's be creative. So, we've got our sketchbook. Make sure that whatever page you're going to do this experiment on, that there's nothing on either side, because there is a very good chance of it bleeding through. We're going to prep this sketchbook with some painter's tape or masking tape, and before you apply the paint onto your paper raw, de-stick it by applying it to your clothes a few times and taking the lint off your clothes, and that way it won't tear your page when you peel it off later. So you're going to use the tape to create borders around the outside edges of both sides of the sketchbook page. And then you're going to divide this into 6 different boxes, so 3 per page. And we're using this tape to keep our borders nice and clean and tidy, and it will make your artwork look that much better when you're done with it. So even though we're experimenting, we're just building our confidence with the media, it's always good to have a nice finished product, whether it's something you're gonna frame or not. It just boosts your confidence. So take the time to carefully create a nice white border around your sketchbook pages, and 3 boxes, 3 rectangles per side. All right, now that that's done, you're gonna have to go raid your pantry and drawers and cupboards for a variety of different items. Go find some salt. I'm using kosher salt, but your regular table salt will do. A wax candle, hand sanitizer, a sponge, cut up a plastic bag so you have a little square of plastic to work with, and of course you're going to need your regular little cup of water, watercolor paints, and a brush with stiff bristles if you can be picky. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to start off up here with an artistic technique using watercolors and different medias that you're probably already familiar with, and I'm doing this on purpose because I want you to build up your confidence when working with this. So we're going to start with something you probably did in JK, and that's working with the sponge. So you dampen the sponge a little bit so it'll wake up this dry paint, and then you're going to apply it onto your paper, and you're like, ho hum, I did this in JK, it's not a big deal. True, but now that you're a mature artist, can you apply it in a bit more of a creative manner? Can you be conscious of the patterns and the marks that your sponge is making? And can you control that to make something exciting and different? The next artistic technique that we're going to work with is something that you're probably familiar with still. It's the Splatter Effect. And you do is you wet your brush, load it up with paint, and then hold your brush closely to the paper so that the spray is condensed down here. If you hold it up high, then the spray is going to get all over the place. So let's not go for a big mess. And if you turn your brush this way and that, you get different directions. There you go. Trying to keep it on the page, not all over the place. Okay. And I'm going to stick with these 3 colors because I think when it's done, it'll look very pleasing. Keeping it simple to a minimal amount of colors rather than going for a crazy effect. So with this next square, I want you to take your little piece of plastic and scrunch it up in your hand so you get like almost like a flower pinched look, and load up your brush again with some pigment and apply it to the plastic itself. And then press down on your paper and you get an interesting mark. Sometimes it looks like clouds. It's very organic. And one of the reasons that I like working with watercolors is that you don't want to fuss it too much. It's a good practice of just letting go and relaxing, and don't try to overwork it. Those are your most basic artistic techniques with watercolors that you probably already experimented with when you were younger. Let's move over to the other side, and on this side of the sketchbook we're going to do ones that require steps, 2 steps, so don't get too anxious about this. So let's pick up the wax candle, and I want you to start making marks with the wax candle in this square. And don't go for anything that is representational. Just draw lines, curvy lines, zigzaggy lines, whatever kind of lines you want, short, long, wavy, and just make patterns with your lines. Keep it abstract, keep it simple. All right, so I've laid down some wax and it's relatively see-through. But if you turn your head a little bit and catch the glare of the light, you might be able to see your marks a little bit better. And then take your paint and apply it to your paper. And the marks that you made with your wax candle will reveal themselves like magic. Woo! There we go. All right. Now, these two, we're going to apply the paint first, and then we're going to apply the substance to the paint. These ones are a little bit more fussy because you need to create a puddle of color. Now, I'm not talking lakes here. I don't want a big mess. Lakes will ruin your paper and get a little out of control. So we don't want that necessarily, but we do need it to be wet. There we go. And then we're going to take the hand sanitizer and put a few drops on the page. Make a polka dot pattern if you want. And we have to let that dry. It'll take a little while for it to have it take its effect. So we'll leave that. And we'll move on to our last square. And the same requirements of having a puddle. There we go. And you're going to take a little bit of salt, not too much. And you're going to put a pinch of salt, dribble it onto the really, really wet spots on your paper. And the salt will absorb a lot of that moisture, and you'll get this really cool crystalline effect. And it adds a little physical texture to your paper too, which is sometimes pleasing to see. Ta-da! We're just gonna let that dry and we'll come back later when it's all done and we'll peel off the tape. So just set it aside. Don't peel it while stuff's wet, okay? Just give it an hour. Or you can go get your blow dryer and blow dry it, and that's fun too because you'll be able to move the paint around. So this is all dry now. I took a blow dryer to it. There's a little bit of wet to the hand sanitizer, but I wanted to peel off the tape, show you how if you pull it at a 90-degree angle from itself, it peels off nicely. And you can avoid tearing, and you get to see these nice white, crispy, clean borders. Ooh, we're gonna go all the way across. Ta-da! Very satisfying. And there you have it. Watercolor artistic techniques with sponges, splatter, applied plastic, wax resist, hand sanitizer, and salt. I hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, my friends, stay awesome and be creative.